Hi, everyone. So when I think about DACA, I actually think about the fact that I became a community organizer at the height of the undocumented and unafraid movement pre-DACA. I even participated in civil disobedience, where many cities across the nation were doing the same. And we do believe that that's what led to DACA. We sort of motivated the administration to provide something for us. But I never thought that 10 years later I would still be fighting for DACA. So today I'm dedicating my monologue to all the organizers who have been in this struggle for longer than I have, for immigrant rights, for all the youth who never qualified for DACA and the new youth who can't have their applications processed, and for our future generations who are trying to figure out what this means for a nation that we thought was filled with equity and opportunity. My monologue is titled, Listen to Your Heart. I often hear that the only way to get people to care about my struggles as an undocumented woman is to ask them to imagine me as their daughter or their sister. But I have my own family, and my mere humanity deserves respect. I was taught at school in this country that my contributions to society are all that should matter. So I've done everything in my power to be at the top of my class, get into a good college, volunteer, work hard, pay taxes, to prove I'm worthy. And I am worthy, with or without all that effort, even though I often get treated quite literally like an alien or criminal, simply because I don't have an official document calling me a citizen. I also want you to know that I am proud of my Mexican identity, even though it took me 2 decades to embrace it. From ages 5 to 18, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, a place where an anti-immigrant sheriff named Joe Arpaio ruled. He put undocumented Mexican immigrants in chain gang shackles, making the men wear pink underwear to humiliate them. He literally celebrated spending less money on his inmates than on his dog, and this was somehow acceptable. I grew up constantly striving to prove that I wasn't dirty, lazy, criminal, or shameful, that I wasn't worth less than a dog. I now finally have a sense of my own value. So to feel my life under attack and have most people do nothing in response, it's as if my humanity doesn't matter. And that baffles me. It's inconceivable that the very ground under my feet is falling away and I could be deported, put into a detention center, separated from my family, lose my job, my mortgage, and all I've built. And yet somehow you, my friends, neighbors, people at the coffee shop, the grocery store, maybe you listening to my story right now might not see my situation as urgent enough to get up and do something about it. My entire community of documented and undocumented people is under attack everywhere, left and right, day after day, and it seems you think you've done your job simply by liking my article on Facebook? Sad crying face, maybe even angry face. People think they've done enough by staying caught up on the news so they have something to lament at the dinner table. My life is not a talking point. My life is not something to uplift a liberal agenda, and don't you dare pity me or send me your prayers. Do something. Call your senator or your immigrant-phobic family. Show up at an immigrant rights meeting, because every day that you don't take action is another day the status quo prevails. And the status quo is painful, even if I still have my family intact, because it hurts physically, emotionally, mentally, that you don't care enough to get up and do something, give your time and effort to help your fellow human beings. Because while you are going about your business as usual, trying to keep up with work deadlines, health goals, reflecting on your next gratitude post, those of us on the front lines of anti-immigrant attacks are fighting against the limited hours in a day, because there's never enough time to work our 60-hour-a-week jobs and go to protest after protest, plan meetings, events, fundraisers, and teach-ins, pouring our energy from what quickly becomes an empty cup. But somehow, at the same time, it's still the job of the undocumented community to educate citizens on how our life depends on your voice, your vote, your money, and your willingness to show up. It's not like we enjoy the fact that we need you, but we do. And I am exhausted from pulling your weight and begging you to act like a citizen in a democracy. And because most people aren't pulling their weight, my mental health is suffering. I need rest too. But right now, I am afraid that if I don't go to that extra meeting, if I don't share that petition, if I don't convince everyone that this is urgent, then another family will get deported, sometimes sent to their death, and another family will be torn apart. You see, it's urgent for us all the time. And someplace deep inside, you must know it's urgent too. You must. So please, just for a moment, pause, breathe, can you hear my words? I am afraid. I am afraid that in the end, no matter how much I've fought for others, I won't be able to save my own family from deportation. Have you seen the pictures from our borders? Innocent families with young children and elders, tear-gassed, whipped for seeking refuge. Do you know what is happening across the country? Hardworking immigrants, good parents just like mine, locked away like criminals in detention centers. Young children separated from their parents in these terrible tent camps are exposed to abuse and dying from untreated infections. Do you see a war? Do you see at least a semblance to concentration camps? Can you feel your own heart telling you it is urgent? Please listen to your heart. Not just for me or for the undocumented community, but for your own humanity too. Please. It's urgent.